evening, everyone. Selamat malam. Welcome to Betelnut. It's good to see you guys here, and it's good to be back on this stage. It's been, I think, 5 months since our last Pecha Kucha, so it's really good to be here and see you guys. And one thing, I don't know if you noticed, of course you noticed, this is our 35th Pecha Kucha. So it's been 35, we already had 35 Pecha Kucha so far, so it's really great that we're here and we're still here at Hubud. Before we go to the event, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Fito Cristaldi, and I am the city holder of the PechaKucha Night in Ubud. If this is your first time to PechaKucha, so PechaKucha means chit chat in Japanese. It's a global event that's happening around the world, and the format is very simple, but it's also complicated. The format is 20-20, so 20 slides, and for each slide is 20 seconds. So every speaker have 6 minutes 40 seconds to share their stories. And of course, it takes a lot of practice. We also have practice with the speakers as well, practice sessions. But so they have to be perfectly time the presentation so that it's exactly 6 minutes 40. So we don't control the presentation. It goes automatically. Yeah, so PechaKucha Night in Ubud is brought to you by Hubud Co-working Space. So we are a co-working space located in on Monkey Forest Road, right across the Monkey Forest entrance. Hubud, when we started this 6 years ago, we thought we wanted to have a platform where people can share their stories, their knowledge, and their journey with others, so that everybody could be themselves, be happier, and grow. And Pecha Kucha is one of our events that we organize among 410 events that we organize annually. But just so you know, Pecha Kucha Night was actually our first event that we organized before Hubud was open. And since we started Pecha Kucha Night, we've been having a lot of people standing on this stage. Everyone who's nervous, until like very professional public speaker, people from a woman from North Korea, a child war, but most of them are people who are here in Ubud because we believe that everybody here have stories to share, and we perfectly capture that and have people to be here on stage. Yeah, so like I said, it's 6 minutes 40. It is very difficult, especially because you know what? We always love to talk. So that's the challenge that we normally have with the speakers, to cut every content that they have into 6 minutes 40 instead of 20 minutes. But it's actually really perfect. It's a perfect format as well for people to speak. Well, you'll experience it later. Therefore, because it's difficult, I would like to ask you to give a big warm applause to our speakers tonight. And give them love before they get here on stage. So tonight, we have Cory Orak. A lot of supporters. We also have Ajeng and Ratna from Chata Udata. We have Christina Siciliano. Divya Darling. Hani Kusumawati. And the only male speaker for tonight, Emmanuel Nicolella. Right, so without further ado, I would like to call our first speaker to come on stage. Her name is Cory Orak. Applause! So Cory is an extroverted introvert. He comes from a small town in Minnesota and left the United States in 2006. 10 years after he left the States, he decided to go all in by joining her husband's business. Tonight, she will take us through her journey and why he believes in fully committing to your decisions, no matter how scary they are. Please help me to welcome our first speaker tonight, Cory Orak.
Oh, it's here. Not here. I got it. So first, before it starts, I just want to thank you all, because about 2 years ago I got here and I really wanted to do this, and I finally am. So thank you all for coming and committing to the night. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm really excited and also a little nervous because I'm the first, so let's do this, yeah? All right, so a ticket is a really powerful thing. It's a symbol of going all in and committing and making a choice. Whether it's a ticket to the movies, a ticket to an event like tonight, or a ticket for a round the world trip on a plane. But the power isn't in buying the ticket. The power is getting on the ride. That's me, in case you couldn't tell. A ride like a roller coaster. I don't know about you guys, but as I commit to the roller coaster, as it's going up, I'm excited, then I regret it, then I will pay $1 million to get off it, then it goes down, then I want to do it again. Or I want to do a bigger one, a more exciting one. So it all begins when we're tiny. That's me. And you're too small for the rides. But you get to go to the fair, you get to witness it all, you get to hear the sights, sounds, smells of the whole carnival, and you get to learn what the rides are. And things are just provided for you, like a cake. You get to make friends, build an awesome sense of style, still my favorite photo of me to date. And even though you kind of want to get on those rides, you're still really happy just existing and being and playing. And I mean, look at that confidence in those coveralls. Ugh, I just love that photo. Oh, then this happens to you. Middle school. You're finally old enough to get on that ride, but you're not old enough to buy the ticket. So you just gotta ride it out. You just gotta get in there in the hoops and the confusions and get lost in it and try your best. But you learn a lot through all of that. You learn that the power is getting outside of that comfort zone. So that's when you're like 18, 19, and you get to do university. When I did university, I spent 4 years getting a 2-year technical degree at 3 universities, and at the end of it, I realized I'm not on the right ride. So I made a fundraiser, I took out some credit cards, and I bought a ticket to Africa. I had never been out of the country before. I honestly was watching a documentary on Africa and was like, hey, I'm gonna go there, and made it happen. So I did whatever it could take when I was 22 to get that ticket, get that first ride that was mine, not my family's, not my friends, not anyone else's, but mine. I taught HIV/AIDS prevention education, and my whole world changed. I had all of these new ways of life and existence, and I ended up calling my boyfriend at the time on a prepaid calling card, and was like, babe, I love Africa so much, I want to move here and stay here forever. And he was like, babe, I just got a job in Vietnam, you want to come? And I was like, all right, I'm already out of the country, why not? So in 2 weeks, I went home to America, dropped off Africa, packed up for Vietnam, and got my second ticket to Vietnam, a place that I had only seen in movies, in books, in history class, something I didn't understand. And I went and met up with my partner there. And while I was there, I got to keep doing the teaching aspect. I went straight into teaching English as a foreign language because I was like, I speak English, I can do this. And I, again, fell madly in love with Southeast Asia and Vietnam in general. I learned how to ride a motorbike and look badass while doing it. I ate everything I could find in all of Vietnam and loved every single bit of it. And I just got lost in this world. And while I was there, I also got to tap into my volunteer part of my heart and have some time volunteering in some orphanages. While this was happening, boyfriend turned into fiance, and fiance got promoted, and we were going to move to Switzerland. Vietnam to Switzerland's quite a jump if you don't, if you're not ready for Zurich. But the next ticket was marriage. Look at how great we looked, you guys. This is an actual photo from my wedding day. 10 years strong. How great is that? Oh. Anyways, anyone who's married knows marriage is the scariest, most confusing ride you could ever get on. And my marriage took me from Switzerland to America to a house with a yard and a dog. And I realized I bought the ticket to marriage, but I didn't buy the ticket to this life. And this wasn't my ride. And that was a really hard turning point because I had to decide to get off that ride and purchase my own ticket. And this was a stretch because I went back to Vietnam alone. So I had to commit and buy that ticket for me. Again, this was back to Africa. This is going just for me. And when I was there, I dove head first into early childhood education and teaching 2-year-olds. Ugh, look at that Corvot. I loved it so much. I spent nights and weekends getting my early childhood education degree. I committed myself fully. And my estranged husband at the time was starting his own business, and I was able to be this link between Vietnam and America for him. And I was able to go to the factory and check on some stuff and send it back to him. And eventually, after about a year in Vietnam, he joined me again. That's really him. And we were loving it. And we committed to this for 6 years, me teaching and him building his dream. And there came a point where we got this itch and we realized there was a new roller coaster we needed to join. And that was a ticket to Ethnotech, which is my husband's company, and we turned it into a family business. And I don't know about you guys, but marriage, as you could see, was tough. And now I chose to also be married to my business partner. So this one I'm currently riding, and I'm loving it because it has taken me all over the world. It has taught me business, operations, traditional techniques of different cultures, all these amazing things. And I wouldn't have had any of these opportunities. I hadn't bought those 5 tickets. I'm gonna say 5, just go with it. And that brought me to here. If I didn't have those 5 tickets, those 5 roller coaster rides, I wouldn't have found the confidence and clarity and understanding to be on this stage today because this is terrifying for me. And I wouldn't know who Corey was. So I really encourage you all to buy that ticket that you've been putting off and see where the roller coaster takes you. My ears are burning. Everything hurts.
My hands are burning already. How does it feel?
I feel awesome.
Yeah? You feel awesome?
I'm on a roller coaster right now.
Yeah, probably. It is a roller coaster. Does anyone have a question for Corey? Yeah?
Sorry?
What is your business about?
I run a social enterprise with my husband, who is somewhere in here, but you've seen him.
He's there.
He's there.
Hey, boo.
It's a social enterprise that collaborates with artisans from 5 countries: Ghana, Guatemala, Ghana, Africa, Vietnam, Indonesia, and India. And we pair their traditional textiles into high-quality laptop travel bags. So, yeah.
Do you sell them here in Bali?
We're leaning towards that, but it's a difficult roller coaster to navigate.
Why you're looking at me? Yeah? Anyone else have a question?
Nothing? You don't want to know anything about
No?
me?
There's one there.
Just kidding. Oh, Steve.
What's the most awful thing for working with your husband? Or the most wonderful thing to work with your husband?
Everything hurts right now, you guys. To be honest, it's both wonderful and awful because it's learning how to navigate being with someone else in all different avenues at the same time, and learning how to build boundaries and how to communicate clearly of this is a work conversation, this is a date conversation, this is life, this is our passion. And luckily we share the same passion, so it's actually quite easy. I mean, if we were rich it'd be easier, but I don't know, big deal.
I have a question. Oh, that's gonna be difficult.
Ooh, Vito.
Can you maybe share a moment in in your journey where you thought, hey, this is maybe not the ride that I should take?
Every ride. Every single ride. Every single ticket that I took, I hit a moment on that ride where I was towards the top and I was like, I will pay $1 million to get off this ride. I made a mistake, I want to go back, I want to change it. But that's the power of being strapped in and committing and locking yourself to that choice, is that I had to write it out and suddenly it was like, oh my God, it's actually awesome. And then you just, I don't know, every single one, I had a moment of fear and panic.
But there was also a point in America where you thought, no, this is not my place, that I want to go back to Vietnam. What made you decide?
Well, I think it was a multitude of things. So it was 2009, I want to say, and we moved to California, which we weren't from. So we were in a new state, in a kind of far off, out of the city area, and it was really hard to start, as we had been abroad for so long that it was really hard for us to make connections with people and to find our way in life. And I actually worked for a coffee shop and started managing the coffee shop, and it just, I love the coffee shop and the people, but the whole corporate America was really hard and stressful, and it was really hard to feel like I knew that other stuff was out there, and so I had to take that risk, no matter what the results were. But they're still good, because my husband's here and I love him. Aww, he's so handsome. It's Kenneth, not Jake. The taller one.
It's hiding there. That's cool. Right. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Cool. Right. Before I go to the second one, second speaker, if you want to buy drinks, you can go to the bar. There are cold beers. There's Stark and Bintang. So maybe if you fancy cold beers, they have it. The second speakers, because we have a duo, two people speaking. After this, we have Ratna and Ajeng, and they are the brilliance behind Chata Odata, an art house in Ubud, Bali. Ratna co-founded Chata to date, Chata Odata, and they have been collaborating with more than 100 artists and collectives, both local and international, such as Imam Sucahyo, Chit Sasmita, Circle Art Residency from the UK, and also the Necessary Stage from Singapore. Sharing their stories in how they bridge boundaries with art as a vantage point, please give a big applause to Ajeng and Ratna from Chata Odata.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hi. Good evening. Hi, my name is Ratna, and I'm co-founder of Chata Odata.
And my name is Ajeng. I am the public relations of Chata Odata, an art house that loves to work alongside with the Indonesian emerging artists from Bali and East Java. And we are currently based in Penestanan Cloud Ubud.
In 2014, yes, I co-founded Chata Odata with my artistic partner, Knut. When there are many art galleries as well as art spaces in Bali decided to close its door. Penestanan Cloud itself used to be called as an artist village once. But then now, of course, because everything's changed, so there are more and more villa for rent, and of course, taxi drivers. Nothing is wrong, but of course, we can start questioning what is art village without an artist.
Might be because of the current trends, commercial exploitation, and of course the unaffordable living costs that we can blame on. But perhaps it's because of the excessive practice of exclusivity that has spoiled the sense of the art itself.
So, what's art if we cannot taste cheese or sips the wine,
yes.
right? So don't cut the cheese yet. Tonight we're not going to judge each other, or we're also not going to reminisce about the golden age that already been gone. But tonight we're going to revisit again what is the basic idea about art and why we're crazy over it. So, I was born 29 years ago in a Chinese family, and unfortunately, I grew in one of the most prejudiced era against this minority in Indonesia. Art becomes kind of my enlightenment, so that I could find that life is not all about black and white. And what about you, Ajahn?
And for me, art is a melting pot. So I grew up in a multiple cultures and religions also. And somehow people find it opposite to each other. And for me, art is the humblest way for me to express my uniqueness. And also it's transformative, and somehow it's challenging my perspective in seeing things,
How
actually.
did you find Cata Udata last time?
Well, back in 2016, I met Kenyut and Ratna. Kenyut is a visual artist, and Ratna is a set designer for theater. And they already co-founded Cata Udata from 2014. And that's when I decided to join Cata Udata.
Thank you. So actually, we are really grateful that we meet Ajahn as well, who has a study in social as well as political science as our public relations, because we found later that to sustain art practice, the best way is to always keep approaching the community.
Yes. And of course,
Why interdisciplinary?
yes, why is interdisciplinary approach is important for us? I mean, in the practices of our program, it's because it can connect all the bridge that we need to bridge on, and of course that we connected all the community from the artists and of course all the participants that involved in the program itself.
Because we connect to each other faster than ever through this urban world. So interdisciplinary practice itself is very important for artists because it teaches them how to see differences and be okay with it. So instead of saying, oh, this is not art, this is art, or this is bad, they will use these differences to enrich their artistic palettes.
And of course, it can enhances and further develop artist sensitivity to more critical of the social and cultural issues. And for their art itself, they can also further develop the art to be inspirational and maybe can change people for the better.
Yeah, so today, Cata Udata has been collaborating with at least 100 artists, both locally and internationally. And together as a team, we always co-create, co-curate experiences and events such as performing arts and then
Exhibitions,
what else?
shows, talks.
Residencies, everything in between. So maybe you'd like to talk about collab?
Yeah, sure. So we would like to broaden our views and share our horizons. And that's when we created Collab. It's a Cata Udata Laboratory, a non-profit program which we embraces openness and collaborative spirit as its best.
Yeah, and actually we just finished the collab for 2018 that just happened last month. And in this collab 2018, we invite two communities, a collective from Indonesia, of course, and from Singapore. So first we have Wolf Lab from Surabaya that creates audiovisual installation and of course the necessary states that has been practicing theater for 30 years internationally.
Yes, and it was the first time also for the WAF Lab to work with a theater environment. And of course, it was the first time also for the necessary stage to work with the Indonesian artists in Bali.
Sounds wonderful, right? When we can meet more people and to broaden our horizon, but honestly, we are scared. Because we are stepping into the unknown. A lot of things that we cannot, think priorly. But, for example, if the artists couldn't bridge their differences, or as simply as when the collaborators couldn't find any chemistry in their artistic field, so what to do? Of course, we have to admit and we have to keep moving on to do better.
Yes, and that's why we think that our program Collab is a strong and flourishingly on how we can apply this interdisciplinary approach that we now talk. This is tonight to you now. And we think that it validates a saying that art can connect people and also the perspectives.
Cata Udata journey is still really young, thus many challenges await us in the future. Therefore, if given a chance, we would like to contribute to the realization of an open-minded community so that we can have a better future, not only for us, but also for the generations to come.
And by bridging boundaries and always challenging our perspective, we realize that we would like art to be seen as an inclusive and fluid expressive form for everyone to deserve that they can experience the art itself.
Yes. So thank you very much to all of you who join us tonight to listen why art becoming more important, well, at least to Chata Odata, and why it has been our vantage point to see the world. So I hope that in the future we can create more expressions that is willing to listen, to respect, to reform, and more importantly, to have the flexibility or versatility to be seen as one or with another. Thank you, and have a great PechaKucha.
Thank you, Arjun and Ratna.
Thank you.
You. Anyone here have a question for Arjun and Ratna? Yes.
Do you have a physical space?
You have a physical space.
Space in Pecha Ubud. So it's a building with residencies for artists, and also we rent some of our room in Airbnb. And of course we have workshop space which is available for artists and also all the creative practitioners. So basically we open for all.
And the gallery at the first floor. It's in Penestanan Clot. Anything and yeah.
So do you connect foreigners who need Balinese or Indonesian artists with people that could help them in particular? Like, for example, if I had a project where I wanted to have some painting done on glass, would I come to you and you would help pair me with someone?
As long as we have, the right person to be connected with you, of course, by all means, you can always come to our place and speak about what you have in mind. But in Chata Odata itself, because Indonesia is very broad, yeah, and we actually consist of at least hundreds of races and a language. So to make us easier to work, because we have very limited resources as well in Chata Odata, we try to keep it small. So that's why we focus on our Indonesian artists who are based in Bali and East Java. Yeah.
You'll leave a way to contact you, or do you have some?
Yes, you can just type Chata Odata, and later I can talk to you personally as well. Yeah, thank you.
For maybe everyone who would like to know about Chata Odata, we are available in Instagram at Chata Odata. If you would like to scrolling down about what we have done before. Maybe another questions for us? No?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love having people here. Cool. So there's the third speaker. Our third speaker is Cristina Siciliano. Woo! Oh, looks like we have a lot of supporters here. Cristina is an Italian performer specialized in acting and singing and voice coach. After having performed all around Italy and lived in Australia for the past 4 years, he is now based in Bali with her fiancé, with whom she travels around the world. Tonight, she'll be sharing her story about her journey through performing arts. So please give a warm applause to Cristina.
Buonasera, everybody. Come on, you're sleeping already? It's not that time yet. Buonasera! Oh, thank you very much. Okay, now I can start. So I'm just gonna do something. Who has dreams?
Everyone.
Of course! And when you have dreams, what comes after? Challenges! What they do, they weaken us or they strengthen us. But the most important thing is the lessons that we learn. So tonight I'd like to share the lessons I've learned while facing the challenge of my life, which was trying to pursue a career in performing arts. For me, performing means freedom. Dancing for the body, singing for the voice, acting for the mind. And when I'm on stage, I just feel my heart full and I feel like I can shine. And that's why I love performing arts. And I've been loving it since I was a little child. And I've loved being on stage. And I mean, you can have a look right there. But by the time I was 13 years old, I had figured it out. I want to be an actress. So I found this performing arts school. I went in. I know, darling, you can't. You're too young for this program. Come back in a few years. But, oh, come on, I really want to do this. Please let me audition. Please. Oh, you know what, all right, I'll let you audition. And I did. And guess what? I got in! Yay! It was so good, the best 3 years of my life. And I was doing high school while I was doing the Performing Arts Academy. It was the youngest one in the class. And I was so proud, and I was working so hard for my dream. But of course, you have to work hard to, achieve your dreams. And I learned something. If you do not ask, you won't be given a chance. And that's a lesson I keep carrying with me every day of my life. Don't just give it for granted. Don't be shy. Get your chance. It's right there waiting for you. Which brings me to the next step of my journey, of my dream. So I started studying singing, and I was doing private lessons. I was very good, like, super good, yeah, nice. And then my voice started dropping, and I had to go to the doctor. And she goes, "Your vocal cords are weak. You should do a job like accounting where you don't speak, and you can never be a singer ever." So this is not a vagina. These are vocal cords. And those two dots up there, they are the nodules, so when you don't use them well, they might come up. And the more you use them the wrong way, the more they become bigger and bigger. So you need to really be careful when you have problem with your voice. So that's what I had, and I decided I wanted to cure this. So what I did 6 months of total silence. I did not do any more singing or acting, and I was whispering like this. And I learned to whistle like that for 6 months. And, it took me a long time to get back to trusting my voice and doing the vibrato and stuff, but then I made it. And it was the best thing of my life when I could make it, and I understood that nobody can tell you what you can or you cannot do. It's your damn life. Go and work out for it. There's always a solution. Believe in it and believe in yourself. That's the most important part. Which brings me to my big dream. So now that I was back on track, I want to go to Broadway, to the city that never sleeps, that one, like Liza Minnelli, yeah? So that's actually me on the New York City Ballet when I went to New York, and I really wanted to make it there. I wanted to move there. So I started to save money, and I started going back to dancing class, which brings us to the next step. And one day I was doing this this master class, where I was doing this beautiful jump like this, and then bam! I fall on the floor with my back on the floor, and guess what? I come out with 2 broken vertebrae, so 2 hernias at the back. Which means I have not been able to walk for some time. And I was in bed for, a long time, and this time it was a bit hard to recover, but I was going every day to the therapist, and I wanted to make it, and the thought of going back on stage as soon as possible, not waste any time, it kept me up. Of course, New York was on the side, but I could do a lot of shows. I landed so many jobs in so many companies in Italy. I experienced Commedia dell'arte. I did my one-woman show more than 40 times. And I did so many things that probably New York wouldn't have had, for me, because it was my own country, so I was more free to express myself. What I learned is, there are tragedies in your lives or things that will hold you back. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It might mean that you have to look around and listen to the wind and see, maybe it's showing you a different path that is probably even better for you. And so 3 years passed, and I decided I wanted to challenge myself this time, getting out of my comfort zone and going to Sydney. Hey mate, you doing? All right. It was really nice because Sydney has given me so much job, money, and boyfriend, a lot of travels, but I wasn't looking after one particular thing. The Italian accent, come on, people. So I arrived to Sydney and everyone is making fun of my accent, and then I do the audition and they're like, no, you don't speak like Nicole Kidman, come on, fuck off, that's it, sorry. And so, it was getting really challenging, and I needed a miracle. And actually, instead of miracle, I got a kick in the butt from my boyfriend, because he's like, dude, either you wake up and you accept yourself for who you are, or you go back to your country. And I said, you know what, you're right. So I decided. I started presenting myself at auditions and saying buongiorno, and just showing who I was. And by accepting who I was, I could land so many jobs in the opera house, at the piano, and so much more. And also I started teaching, which gave me so much joy. So you have to learn that if you limit yourself, you will never get anywhere. You have to embrace who you are, and that's your particular thing. So you're going to be unique for that. And to wrap it up, I would just like to say one thing, that is, I am so thankful that I've had a dream and I pursue it, and I had so many challenges in my life, but and they helped me being the person I am today. I also would like to thank you all and invite you to participate with me to this song that is from my CD. So 3, 2, 1. Volare, oh, cantare, oh, nel blu dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna go this side.
Now I'm gonna sing as well. No, I'm not gonna sing now. By the way, we have a karaoke on this Thursday. If you want to come to Hubud, you'll see her singing. You'll see me singing. Cool. All right. Does anyone have a question for Christina?
Question, I love it.
What do you do now? You're in Bali. Are you performing somewhere? Are you
I'm
pursuing
teaching.
something? You're teaching.
I'm teaching, and occasionally whatever happens at the moment. But yeah, mainly I'm teaching voice and acting. So it's what I'm really enjoying doing at the moment.
You mean like remote, like online, or? Yeah. I get it. Of course.
I think I have to go.
Okay.
I think
Right.
they're calling me from yeah.
Anyone else have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you do a 1-minute performance show?
Do 1 minute performance,
Can
maybe
you
20
improvise
seconds
a
before.
1-minute performance show
Yes, I can do it. Do you want a performance?
to illustrate the story,
Huh?
to illustrate the journey?
I can't hear anything. I'm like.
Illustrate the journey, he says. I
Oh.
think it's challenging you to
Okay. So.
20 seconds.
Okay, whatever. My journey. So I was born in Italy, in the south, very good, and I was having so much fun in doing this, you know. And then I started singing, dancing, acting, and then so many things happened, as you heard, and I'm so happy. Only you.
True performing. Anyone else has a question?
That's $100, by the way.
What's the most favourite role you ever had? What's the best role you've ever had?
What's the best role you've ever had?
My one-woman show. I was performing as a German dancer in a cabaret in Berlin that in the time of the Second World War, and she fell in love with a woman. So at that time it was illegal to be, lesbian. And this woman was also Jewish. And yeah, it was, sorry, I never know if I have to say Jewish or Jew, so I always don't want to offend anyone. Sorry, English second language is always a little bit of trouble. And yeah, it was a very deep role because it took all myself to do this 1 hour, 15 minute show where I was talking and singing, and I could see people laughing and crying. And yeah, that was the best role I've done.
Thank you, Christina.
Terima kasih.
Okay, well, that was a show. Our next speaker is not one of the lineup, so as I said before, Hubud is the organizer behind Pecha Kucha Night Ubud, and tonight I would like to invite one of my colleagues, Kintan, because he has some exciting news about events and programs that are coming up in Ubud. Can we have Kintan on stage? Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Oh hi, my friends. Sorry, I'm back. Yes, thank you so much for coming tonight, and let's give another round of applause for the first 3 speakers. Really amazing. I put some jaw drop and then I never let And yeah, so first of all, my name is Kintan. I'm the communications manager of Hubud. I don't have amazing stories to tell, but I have amazing story about Hubud to tell. So give me just 5 minutes. I promise I won't bore you. So I saw a lot of new faces right now, so I'm just, this is a story about Hubud. Hubud was found around 5 years ago. And in the very first few months, we only have 25 members. And then over 1 year, we grow into like 250 people. And then right now, after 5 years, we have 8,000 people coming over, work with us, and then visit us, grow with us, and then learn together with the community. And basically, those 8,000 people actually what makes Hubud right now, because Hubud is all about community. So one way to give back to the community is that we create many events, many events. In fact, we make events as our DNA. Last year alone, we have 431 events alone that related to entrepreneurship, creativity, well-being, and then psychology and all of that. And who are these people that you are gonna meet in Hubud? These are a lot of people that you're gonna meet from many professionals field. From tech field, marketing, creativity, psychology, anyone. And yeah, that's what makes Hubud unique. And then besides events, this year alone, we're gonna make more programs. That's our focus. And then today, I'm gonna tell you about our two upcoming programs. The first one is Women in Transition. So basically, Women in Transition is a program that is specifically designed for women to help them get good at change, because we realize that women cope change differently with men. And in this program, we want to help women to find their own tools to, again, get good at change. And this program is the 5th program that we're going to help Women's Transition. And it will be facilitated by Renee Martina, our co-founder. And she's very passionate and an expert in women development. And the next intake will be in May 13 till May 18, 2018. And so yeah, that's Women in Transition. And it will be, it already held not just in Bali, but also in Poland, and we're planning to take it globally. The next one is Money Matters. So the story behind Money Matters, we talk a lot to our members, our partner, our friends, and then we found that most of them have difficulties, difficult relationship with money. And so we want to help them, not by giving them money, of course, like a wish, but we want to help them to get, to understand better about relationship with money and to enhance the relationship with money itself. And so this Money Matters help. And this program will be facilitated by an award-winning financial advisor from Australia, Leah Holder. And then, yeah, you can Google Leah. She's amazing. We found her, and then we talked with her, and she's an amazing person to work with. And then so, this program will be held over 2 weekends. On the first weekend, which is May 26th to May 27th, we're gonna talk about personal, financial, and then on the next, the other weekend, we're gonna talk about business, financial. So, for example, if you're interested in this program but you don't know which one to choose, you can just come both or choose either one of them. So yeah, that's very quick. Yeah, so that's from me. And right now I want you, because Christian and I have a performance, I want you to all sing with me Toto Africa. No, but we have karaoke on Thursday. I'm gonna sing Toto Africa.
Alright, thank you, Kintan. As you have heard, we really love our karaoke night, so please come on karaoke on Thursday. We also have another event. It's called the Fuck Up Nights Bali, or Fun. It sounds too harsh. So it's an event where the presenters speak about their failure in the past and what they learned from it. And it's really great because, you know, like as you see on every event, we always talk about our success, and in this event, we talk the other way around about the failure story. We are still looking for speakers, I believe. So if anyone has a fuck-up stories, I think I'm allowed to say that, right? You can contact me or Kashmi, and we can have you on stage next month at Alaya Resort Jembawan. Right. So our 4th speaker for tonight is Divya Darling. Can I have an applause for Divya? Divya is the founder of the Intrinsic Brilliance Institute, where he trains people to enlighten up by shining a spotlight on how we create beliefs and thinking how we can train our brains to reinvent reality. He holds degrees in neuroscience, psychology, and cognitive sciences and is an avid yogi. Like all of you, most of you, or maybe some of you. He loves using this laboratory called Life to conduct her experiments to better understand the mind and how we create meaningful experiences. Speaking about the art of solving skillfully, please give a warm welcome to Divya Darling.
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? How we answer this question will limit or liberate us. You'll soon discover how certain identities imprison us and how we can set ourselves free when we enlighten up to who we truly are at our core. Many people answer this question by sharing geographical history. For example, I'm an American expat. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm an Australian citizen. I lived in Sydney for 7 years. And since the beginning of 2018, Bali has been my home. It's also quite common to respond to this question by considering your relations, especially in Eastern countries. Like, I'm the daughter of Gobind and Pooja, the sister of Manpreet and Simran, the wife of Michael, stepmom of Bryson, and the cousin to countless Sindhis across the globe. A more Western way to respond would be by stating your occupation, your functional role in society. I'm the founder of the Intrinsic Brilliance Institute, where I work as a transformational brain trainer, teaching people practical tools to reinvent reality. Perhaps you might respond by sharing your interests and passions. I love yoga, stand-up comedy, cold coconuts, warm chai, and looking at lolcats. And whilst all of these are true, they are only relative truths. What might it be like for us to consider the question in terms of absolute truth? And what exactly is that? I'm going to surmise this audience is slightly familiar with the concept of energy. The idea that everything that appears to be solid is in fact atoms vibrating at a coherent frequency, which our brains then interpret as individual objects. According to cognitive neuroscientist Anil Seth, we don't just passively perceive the world, we actively generate it. The idea that I end here and you begin there is a very convincing optical illusion that our consciousness has created for us. So how can we truly see through the tricks of the mind? I experienced this when completing my degrees in neuroscience and psychology at Oberlin, a liberal arts school in Ohio. Oberlin is well known for encouraging critical thinking and questioning norms. Essentially, it's an incubator for social and environmental activists like me. One night, my roommate and I were in our dorm room after coming home from a senior symphony concert when she confessed how much like a fraud she felt to be amongst people winning Watson fellowships, designing biofuel cars, all sorts of other spectacular feats to make the world a better place. I was awestruck that someone as amazing as her could be feeling that way, because that wasn't my experience at all. Far from it. Rather than feeling intimidated by my peers, I felt inspired. I was so proud of being an OB. And I became really curious about how it was possible for us to share the same environment while she felt inferior and I felt exceptional. And that's when I noticed the structural distinction between what she was doing and what I was. You see, I didn't just go to Oberlin like she did. I was an OB. I fully identified with it. All other OBs were an extension of me. Their accomplishments were my accomplishments. And this difference in thinking is what created this contrastive experience that we both had. And I surmise is a key contributor to the anxiety she still experiences today. This is just one of many anecdotes that reveal how we choose to identify directly impacts how uplifted, resilient, and encouraged we feel daily. When we enlighten up to this fact, we liberate ourselves from false limitations. A concept I'm exploring in my upcoming book is called selfing. It's the process of recognizing our external identity as fluid and flexible rather than fixed and finite. And here's why this is really important. Our world is evolving at an exponential rate. In the 6 years between 2016 and 2022, there will be as much change as there was in the century between 1900 and 2000. So how do we face this challenge and stay steady when everything is constantly shifting? By seeing ourselves as a part of a larger whole, something bigger than us. So during times when things are changing, when our bodies stop looking or functioning the way they once did, when a loved one dies, rather than having a meltdown, we still have a sense of okayness. When we're fully identified with our fleeting, ever-changing self, we are our most fragile. Think about it. Whether your younger self was obsessed with Polly Pockets or Pokemon, you are not the same person you used to be. And yet beneath the surface, there is the never-changing self, the you that was there when you were 2 and when you were 12, witnessing. Part of selfing skillfully is being identified with presence itself. It's the knowing that you and I are one and the same. That's the truest essence of Namaste. The infinite intelligence in me sees that in you too. So that our lights can shine bright, even in the darkest, stormiest nights. I invite you to enlighten up. Remind yourself now of how expansive you truly are, and you'll reinvent your reality. Thank you.
Divya? Anyone here has a question for Divya? Okay.
Can you tell us a bit more about how to do selfing? I mean, like some practical ways that you have done it yourself, or some common ways?
Absolutely. I don't know how much I can condense it though, because I have a year-long course on it.
You have 20 seconds.
Part of it is just continuing to ask yourself that question. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And really ask with sincerity and genuineness, and know that anything that is changing is superficial, right? The gray hair, I'm not someone that has black hair anymore, I once was, but you know, these things, be aware of what's actually truly fixed and what is flexible. I hope that helps. Does that help? Is that? Yeah? If not, you can chat with me afterwards.
Cool. Any other question? Yes? Oh.
Okay, I'm not fully sure how to ask this question. But you had the Venn diagram of like us with it was like the circles where you said us and them, where you were talking about how you felt part of Oberlin, and it made me think of sports teams and how people identify with sports teams. And I've always never identified with sports teams, and I kind of felt bad about that. I never understood how and why people did it until I just saw that diagram. And so my question is that ingrained or decided? Is that something people decide to identify with a group, or is it something that they just do?
Well, part of our wiring is that we need to feel connected to a group. That is inbuilt into us. That is hardwired into us. The drive to connect as part of a group. And how this often looks like is smaller tribes, like, oh, Bulldogs, I'm a Bulldogs fan in Europe, whatever. What are the other fans that aren't Bulldogs fans? I don't know. You know, I think that's one way that can look. Or nationalities, right? Like, I'm an American and you're not, that kind of stuff. Like, but the invitation is to apply the same concept, because that concept is hardwired in, to stretch it beyond, to include all beings everywhere. Yeah. Because why not? We can, yeah? It's the same concept on the structural level.
Anyone else has a question? I think if you have a question, Divya will be here after the show at the courtyard, so he can also answer all your questions. So thank you so much, Divya. Right, so we are here at Betelnut. I don't know if you've been here before, but Betelnut is actually a really great place. It's a gathering place. It serves Asian cuisine here, and they also hold performances quite regular. So you should check their Facebook and also their website for the next performances that are coming up. But I do have a schedule here. Their next performance is by Haji Basim. He was one of our speakers as well at the Pecha Kucha 34. Very soulful singer. You can actually go on YouTube and watch his performance as well, his Pecha Kucha presentation. But he'll be here, and he's a wonderful, passionate, and charismatic artist who has unique original music, which is a blend of folk, devotional, and world. And he will have a solo concert here on Tuesday, May 1st. And another performance is by Dubere, a live performance by Dubere from Australia. So they're an uplifting, soulful, euphoric, that combines a fresh fusion of music, which world, trip hop, funk, reggae, dancehall, drum and bass is like a party over here. House and tribal grooves on a bed of electronic ambience and organic undertones, not undertones. So you can check these performances on Tuesday, 1st of May and Thursday, 5th of May. Right, so our fifth speaker is Hani Kusumawati. Applause, guys. Right, so Hani is a former creative director in Maverick, a Jakarta-based communications consultancy, where he advised multinational clients on a non-boring communication strategy. Hani is currently a writer, a WordPress featured blogger, and the co-founder of the social movement for education, which is called Coin a Chance. And tonight, he will share her tips in how to create personal creative projects by using your own life as the canvas and materials. Looking forward, so do I. Please help me to welcome Hani.
Hi, I'm Hani, and before we begin, I'd like to ask you a question. I'd like you to imagine a boring life. What kind of life would a boring life look like you? So I think the answers might vary, but I think more or less we can say that a boring life looks like a life that goes on repeat. So probably you do the same thing every day, work on the same thing, eat the same stuff, meet the same people, or hang out with the same crowd, or you stay at the same place for the rest of your life, or maybe simply it's life where nothing really exciting ever happened, no surprises. Came to think about it, probably it looks like my dad's life. I don't know about your dad, but my dad wakes up in the morning at the same time, eat the same oatmeal for breakfast, shower, work, lunch, and then work again, have some naps, shower, dinner, and sleep at more or less the same time for 35 years of my life. But strangely, he seemed quite content with that. My mom loved to go out, meeting new people, have new experiences, My dad is the happiest when he's at home. So he can wear this tattered clothes that full of holes, and he said this is the most comfortable clothes in the whole world. And he seemed to be happy living his life like this. And randomly, it reminded me of this TV show I watched when I was a kid. It's a Japanese TV show called TV Champion. So they invited experts in certain fields to compete against one another. So they will have episodes with sushi chefs, gardeners, glass blowers, or even stationery experts. And the stationery expert episode is the one I remember the most, because they asked these experts to identify a stroke of a pen. So they wrap the pen in paper, and you cannot see the brand or the shape, just the stroke of the pen, and they need to guess which brand is this pen. And someone actually guessed right. And I was blown away by this, because you can be obsessed at one thing. You can be obsessed about a pen, but really identifying the stroke of a pen, like what kind of boring lives these people are living. However, I was blown away by this and fascinated. I was hooked by the show, and I admire these people. That's when I realized that, hey, I want to know more about boring lives. And I read this story about a guy that wakes up at 9 a.m., goes to university at 10 a.m., and then go back at 1 for lunch, work until 6:30, and then do some more work, have dinner, and then sleep at the same time, like most of his life, on repeat. Later on, I realized this guy was Einstein. And when I look deeper into the greatest thinkers of our time, scientists, artists, maestros, if you see their lives, more or less, you see a boring kind of life, generally. Like they have their routine, they do the same thing, they have this pattern that cannot be broken. So I was started to think if how to be interesting is actually overrated. There's too many books out there, or courses teaching you on how to be interesting. We need more books about how to be boring, people, because I believe in life, there's good and bad. And I believe there must be something good, the virtues behind living a boring life. My dad, for instance, again, hello, Dad. My dad keeps this, this is not the most interesting journal you've ever read, to be honest, really boring, but he actually records his life every single day in 30-minute increments. And if you read the book, there's not any slight difference in day-by-day records. So when he got hospitalized a few years ago, however, for a few days, the book became like medical records on steroids, because it's basically very easy for him to pinpoint the culprit of his illness and track his health. Precisely because he lives the same routine all day, every day, it's very easy for him to know which medication works, which diet makes his mood goes down, which nap time that is making him feeling more refreshed. So it comes in handy to track this. And it might be more difficult to track such thing if you live more or less a random or more exciting life. So if a boring life is a life that consists of the same thing, of only dots, we can make it fascinating by tracking each dot. Because if you want to be honest and look closer, there are no 2 days that is perfectly similar. There must be something different. Sometimes you might find an unmatched pattern in your dotted life, an asterisk or a comma. Or if a boring life is about doing the same thing every day repetitively, you know those headlines when they say, this guy took a selfie of himself every single day for 40 years, and the 40th picture will blow your mind. So it turns out that, repetitive things, you can also turn it into a creative project, if you like. If a boring life is about fascinated only with one particular subject, celebrate your obsession. I once found this blog from a woman who happens to be obsessed with dishwashing sponge. And she writes meticulous review about each one, each brand, the pros and cons, how it works against different plates and bowls. And she celebrates the obsession. If boring life is a life where nothing exciting ever happened, I like the advice from a writer, Natalie Goldberg. So she shared a story about this boring weekend when she did nothing more interesting than counting the button of her shirt. So most of the times, we compress our life experience and we said, I had a boring weekend, it's a boring job, I have a boring vacation. But if we want to be brutally honest and really say what happened during those boring times, what we do or doesn't do, what we experience, how we feel, what we think, who we meet. Probably when we break it down, our boring times is not completely that boring. It could be interesting and it could be relevant. Why? Because, let's be honest, we know that our lives also consist of boring times and more interesting times. And we need both in our lives to be able to function. Because boring times are those times when we need to commit, when we need to stay where we are, where we need to do what we need to do. So if happiness is a state of mind, I think we can also choose whether to enjoy our boring life as much as we enjoy and celebrate our more interesting times. Because the time you enjoy living a boring life probably is not a boring time. So enjoy your life and celebrate it wherever you are. Thank you.
So that wasn't a boring presentation, I felt.
We talk about boring stuff.
I didn't know talking about boring stuff can be that exciting. Does anyone have a question? Yes.
Yes, Hani, what is the most boring thing you've ever done in your life?
I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that you've ever done.
Every day is a boring day according to my boyfriend. Yeah.
It's not you.
Yeah. So he thought I'm boring because I can be happy being at home all day long. So he needs to drag me to Hubud. Let's work from outside. But yeah, I consider myself a boring person, taking my father's side. So I'm happy for that, and I'm proud of being a boring person. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question? Oh, there's one? No? Oh, sorry. I saw you like waving, so I thought you were. Yeah? Oh, yeah.
Henny, that was just fantastic.
Thank you.
Have you given this speech anywhere before? Are you going to give it again?
Yeah, I sometimes speak, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was so good.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. So you're so fascinated by all this boring routine, like what people, what people are so interested in. Do you document this? Like, are you doing a research about it, or are you just like, this is just a secret hobby, a secret boring hobby that you have?
My hobby is living a boring life, everyone. If you want to know how to do it, contact me. I have a boring blog where I documented my boring lives. But I think I try to be honest about it, about when I travel and don't go anywhere, or stay in one place for a very long time, or stay in the hotel for a long time, lazy traveling style. But probably some people sometimes need that kind of traveling as well, and they can relate to that. So yeah, I hope I relate to other boring person in the world, and if one of you are here, chat me up.
All right, thank you, honey. Cool. Before I go to the last speaker, I just want to say thank you. Normally I say this in the end, but it's better to say it now. I just want to say thank you for my team to make this happen. I want to say thanks for Kashmi. And also to Ian as well. Thanks, intern, thank you. And also another thank you for Faisal. So all the design for Pecha Kucha Night is done by him, so thank you. And one more thing, it was actually Faisal's birthday, I think last Saturday in my calendar, or is it today on Facebook? I'm not sure what's going on. So can everybody sing happy birthday to him? Right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Faisal. Happy birthday to you. You make it awkward because we don't actually have a cake, so you can come. All right, so our last speaker for tonight, like I said, the only male speaker amongst the other females is Emanuela Nicolela. Emanuela is a young entrepreneur who has been hopping between Europe and Australia. His Sydney-based communication agency focuses on helping small and medium businesses into the cloud. He recently moved to Southeast Asia with his fiancée. You notice this pattern, there's another person as well that says that moving here with a fiancé, to pursue a different lifestyle and have the possibility to have quality time to do what really matters to them. Let's give a big applause to our only male speaker for tonight, Emmanuel.
Hi. You set the bar so high, like mine's gonna be really bad. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, you can start. So I'll start apologizing because I'm a talker, I blabber a lot, and usually I get lost in my own conversation by myself. But Vito told me he was really strict, so I had to dedicate a slide just for that. And yeah, that's why there's the big story there. So tonight I'm going to talk about success and priorities, and the first three things I'm going to say is that I am a successful person. B, I'm not a pretentious prick for saying that. And C, hopefully by the end of the night, your view will be the same about me and about yourself, hopefully. Well, let's start talking about priority first and success later on. So what's a priority, right? A priority is something, I try to read the definition, and it's something like that puts things before other things so we can do those things better. It was really convoluted, so I like to be a little bit more material and not so pragmatic. So there's all these priority things. It just means that it comes first, right? So let's go back a little bit. When I was 14, and I used to make 30 euros a week, and by make, I mean that my parents were giving it to me. And they were giving it to me, and yeah, they were giving it to me just because, so I could go, that was, thank you, 1,000 years ago. And they were giving it to me so I could do stuff like put petrol and stuff, and as clearly visible, I wanted to be a rock star, and correct. And to be a rock star, you need an instrument, right? And the problem of these things is that they cost money, and my parents couldn't really. So in my town, what you do, you go out and you have burgers or whatever else, and every night my friends were like, "Oh, just come out without." And I'm like, "Oh, it's the burger of the base, it's the burger of the base," you know. And eventually, like 370 million burgers that I didn't eat later, I got a base. And I'm very happy that it's a blurry photograph, but that would be me. And I got my instrument. And I was successful, right? I was a successful musician, accomplished. And I succeeded in what I really wanted to, just prioritizing. I had two choices. I could have gone out and eat the burgers, right? But you see, success is something that is really relative, because you grow up, and from a very successful musician, I started to care about girls, you know, it's in high school, and I didn't have the girl, and I was a very unsuccessful lover instead of a successful musician. And you know, again, it's a matter of priority. You're 15, you're in high school, and catch the hottie, you need the body, you know, which I didn't have, and now I don't either. And you know, it was still the same thing for this same reason. We're back to the burger. My friends are like, "Come out and eat with us." I'm like, "Oh, I need to, you know, go to the gym instead." Anyway, you get my drift, right? It's priority. So if you prioritize, I was prioritizing. So the second thing I want to talk is success. Now that we put priorities down to earth. Success, you know, it's a very simple concept, but it's very hard, because what keeps us from being successful usually is that we don't even start, because we're scared. And you know, there's all these motivational things like, "Oh, you know, you'll be great, don't worry, you'll be fine." The reality is that you can't just ignore your feelings. You can ignore them, but you can prioritize them, which is a very weird concept, but that's what happened to me. And I learned how to prioritize my feelings, and I put them just in the back. You know? You just put the fear in the back, and you take the courage, and that's just prioritizing. So I took a photograph of Christina, and I put it here from when I was, you know, we were in Australia, just because that's what brought us there. It was priority. So we just put anything in the bag. We took a conscious choice of what we wanted and what we didn't want to do. So let's see how do we prioritize, because it's great, it's all cooking, right? How do we prioritize? So if you try to Google how to prioritize, a bunch of mathematical theories, impossible things are happening. But I like to think that it's not that complicated. So I like to think that it's very simple. And guess what? We do it every day. When we make a choice, we're prioritizing. And tonight, we are prioritizing being here and listening to me. Yay! And and maybe you could have had someone getting out for burgers with you, and possibly vegan because we're in Ubud. But it's like like you prioritize the choice. The thing is, again, great. Oh, there's people out there. How do we know that we are on the way to success, that we're taking the right choices? It's very complex because you can't really know, but there's signs that tell us that we're taking the right choices. Again, let's go back to me because I can just talk about what I'm living. I used to live in Australia and with a kangaroo, and it was great. I had it all. I felt successful, I thought, and I had the motorbike and whatever I had, and I thought I was successful, but there was something missing. So I sat down and I thought about my priorities, and I realized that I wasn't traveling that much. I'm like, okay, maybe that's what I really want to do, and I did. I changed all my life around to revolve around my traveling. And since I've been with Chris, we've traveled 26 countries, we're not stopping, we're still going around, and that's because I took a conscious choice to travel. But how do I know that now I'm successful? I say, okay, now I am successful, great. How do I know? Well, here we go. Happy but not pretty. So the thing is, when you're successful, you're happy. There's a they're very synchronized. Success sometimes has the wrong attitude behind it. If a happy person is a successful person at the end of the day, because they're doing what they wanted to do. So I'm publishing these Insta shots, super cool. No, but I publish this because when I look at them, is the way I feel. I was exactly where I wanted to be, and I felt really successful. So, successful is a really relative concept. So, if we go back for a second to Leo DiCaprio, how do we know we're successful? So, I don't know what you thought at the start of this presentation about success. I don't know if you felt that you were a successful person. I hope you did. If you didn't, I really, 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 really hope then after this presentation you really do. Thanks. Did I look fat in this one?
Nah, you look super slim, man.
Last talk I looked really, really fat.
Maybe you lost some kilos from all the burgers.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Bye.
I know.
Anyone has a question?
Have you stopped eating burgers?
I just heard burger.
How did you stop eating burgers?
Have you stopped eating
have
burgers?
you stopped eating burgers?
No, I had one last night, and I promised myself I wouldn't have had because, or else I would have looked fat in the camera. Of course, because of that burger, and I did anyway. So my priorities are really shit at the moment.
Other question? Yeah.
If the burgers were a pizza, what would your priorities be?
And this is my +1, ladies and gentlemen. So it would have been pretty much the same.
Any other question that doesn't
relate to burgers?
Yeah, exactly. Other question? What happened to your hair? Sorry, I keep talking.
You're gonna cut this one, or just so I know how to talk to you?
We're gonna cut this one. No.
Ah, that's good. No, I grew up and this happened to me. It's not nice.
It's not nice.
Not nice.
I still have all mine. Any other serious question?
Thanks. Right, I love it.
No? I guess everybody just wants to ask about burgers. All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Right, so that's all, guys. So those are our 6 speakers. Please give one more big warm applause to them for. Alright, so our next PechaKucha Night Ubud will be in July, on July 10th. So if you want to speak, like speakers tonight, you can contact us. And the next Welcome Nights will be next month. That is at Alaya Resort Jabal. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you at the next PechaKucha. Thank you.
Are you good? Why didn't you take a tripod?